Welcome to the Pineapple Perspective, hosted by yours truly, Troy Hooper. This show is always sponsored by Pepper Lunch, but it is today supported by Ovation and Pepsi and Branded and the Hospitality Hangout podcast, which you should listen to too. This is going to be a wild one. I've got the gentleman and the other guy. I've got Jimmy Frischling of Branded Hospitality. I've got
That's the finance guy.
Don't worry about what his real name is, Michael Schatzberg, because we just call him Schatzy. You are in for a wild treat, I am certain. I only know this because I've been on their show, and it's the coolest, craziest, wildest conversations you'll see in the industry, which is refreshing, fun, and nutty all at the same time. Gentlemen, welcome to the Pineapple Perspective. How are you?
Oh, my God. I got to tell you, I am unbelievable. Troy, I got to tell you, this is great being here with you. You look amazing, I got to tell you. But I just want to say one thing. I don't know if you see this. Do you see like this like there's like a tumor growing? Do you see that?
A little bump, yeah.
Yeah. So last time I was on the podcast, I saw this thing, right? And I tell my wife, Joy, I was on this podcast and I see this tumor. And she goes, "Oh, it's nothing. It's a zit, whatever." I'm like, no. I've had zits. I'm 58. I know a zit when I see a zit. Even Jimmy's like, that's no zit. I went to the dermatologist, to see what's going on there. And she gave me something, and injected it with some cortisone. And it's still there. She said in about a week it'll be gone. But do you see it? Are you looking at that?
No,
I'm
not.
tell you,
No.
I didn't really notice.
I think
it.
you're really
Actually,
self-conscious.
I heard from a lot of listeners they hadn't seen it, but now they really.
Yeah, now we're all just looking at your.
They can't see anything else. Now that's all they can see.
Troy, do you see it though?
Now I see it.
Well, you know what I see? I see less of your nose now. I'm looking at that. So your nose isn't as big to me anymore.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that, like, by RLC, for anyone listening, if you come up to me, it should be they injected with 2 cortisone shots. Oh. It should be less.
Troy, it's really hard to follow Shazzy's intro, so I'll just say, "Hi, I'm Jimmy."
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's hospitality right there, Jimmy.
And by the way, now I'm going to walk up to Schatzy with like a little marker or something.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Put a little ring around it, so he's walking around with a bullseye.
Ring around it's like a third eye.
It is not that big. Hey, look, the cameras usually add 10 pounds, right? That's what they say. If that thing is bigger on this camera than it is in person, there's no reason to talk about it because I can barely see it, and you're pointing it out. Okay.
Well, I got to be honest. I did went on a scale tumor, and I'm 20 pounds heavier with this thing.
There you go.
Okay.
I got to go to Dr. Pimple Popper, on the TV. They have that thing. Troy, right? Don't they have that show?
I called it before we hit record. I called it right off the rails. There are no rails.
Thank God we're not recording yet.
Schatzy just jumps off the side of the freaking railing right off the bat. Okay, listen. Let's get at least one formal thing out of the way before this completely goes bonkers. Every guest, we start the show off by asking you, what does hospitality mean to you? Let's get Jimmy in first so he can say something edgewise. Jimmy, what's hospitality mean to you?
Yeah, to me, the first word that comes to mind is welcoming. To me, it is inclusivity, and it's being made to feel part of something or be seen. And of course, our industry, I refer to our industry as the hospitality industry, but every industry has the opportunity, the ability, and should be thinking about being hospitable, which again, exceed your guest expectation or your client or your customers or your fans. But again, inclusive, welcoming, exceed their expectations, make them feel part of something.
Jimmy, again, before Schatzy gets a word in, because this goes real quick. Where does that come from? Give me a story about your life, your childhood, your upbringing, that's sort of where you get that thesis from.
Yeah, I have 2 brothers, and I'm the middle child. I have a younger brother and an older brother. I do not remember our dad telling us that we all had to work, but we all worked.
Yeah,
we all and I started as a babysitter, as did my brothers. Then officiating little league baseball, officiating youth basketball, and then broke into the hospitality industry as a high schooler, barback busboy. Then finally earned some street cred and got to waiter. Then I was an underage bartender. For me, it was always, and that was the moment where you got a taste of the industry and you realized for you to have a good shift, and what a great job it was, by the way, a gig job, but what a great job to pick up paid in all cash and whatnot.
Whoa. Hey, Jimbo.
The statute of limitations is
Are you sure?
The statute of limitations is
Troy's ex-IRS.
But I would
I'm
say.
almost sure of it.
But Troy, to your question, for you to succeed at the job with the guests, you had to have this kind of energy and welcoming. And for you to succeed within your own team as a member of the team, especially when you're starting out, clearing the tables and running food, you had to get along. So to me, it was always like this team sport.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed, so as an athlete, and again, I was a very light athlete, a modest athlete, but I like team sports. And to me, hospitality was just this amazing team sport. And you got to treat that, you got to be extending yourself to bring your guests, your customers, your fans into that experience. And that's where it came from for me.
Yeah, super well said. Schatzy, there's a question on the table.
Yes, Troy.
What does hospitality mean to you, and where did you get that from? Why do you think that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I think Jimmy articulated it just there's a lot of dogs in the office.
What about for you?
There are many.
I
think it's
you're a restaurant guy.
It's making people feel welcome and comfortable, happy. I mean, I think that cared for, that's hospitality. You just want people to be enjoying themselves, smiling, having a great time. We should be making people feel welcome and happy, and that is really hospitality to me. For me, I go back. I started, I guess, my first foray into hospitality was at a bagel store in Milburn, New Jersey, and it's still there. The Bagel Chateau is still there, and I guess I was not really touching a lot of hospitality. I was washing the floor and cleaning the oven and doing things like that. But I will tell you a very funny story, though, about my bagel store experience. And I was young. I think I was 16 at the bagel store, the Bagel Chateau, which is now, by the way, Goldberg's out in the Hamptons is an offshoot of the Bagel Chateau. And you know the Goldbergs, there's one, right? Goldberg's. Yeah, Goldberg's, so all out in the Hamptons. So, I became friendly with a couple of guys at work there, and they were older than me. And I remember, as the day was ending and we were getting ready to clean, because bagel stores end pretty, early, like 4 o'clock-ish, 3 o'clock, you're done with bagels. And we would be cleaning, and they would say, let's smoke a joint. And I'd be like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. You're a 16-year-old kid and your supervisor's like, let's smoke a joint. I was like, this is amazing. This is a great job. And we went down where the bagels would like proof, in the walk-in box, and I thought it was really fun. We would like smoke the joint and blow the smoke on the bagels. You know what I mean? And we were laughing like, oh my God, like tomorrow everyone's going to get stoned from eating these bagels. Like it's going to be crazy in Milburn. Like everyone the next morning is going to have their bagel, egg and cheese and just be stoned out of their mind. It was actually very funny. But yes, so I guess that is really hospitality. We were getting everyone stoned
I knew
the next day. So
going.
that really is hospitality, isn't it, Jimmy?
That is hospitality.
Right, Troy?
And now you do it.
You do that at Pepper Lunch, Troy? Troy at Pepper Lunch? Are they doing that?
No, we're not into the edibles yet. But that now I'm on TikTok and I'm seeing the garden beverage, so to speak, liquors being made in place of traditional alcohol. You can drink your garden, so to speak, as they say. But
that's that whole theory about people. Like in the restaurant, certainly it's one of the headwinds like a couple of years ago was the Ozempic factor. No one was going to eat anymore because of Ozempic, right? And that was the big fact. I mean, even like the CEO of Walmart said, like their food sales, grocery sales are going to go down, and they tracked it with their pharmacy and the Ozempic, and they're like, we see direct correlation between how many Ozempic prescriptions we're filling at that store, and they're buying less food. Well, I think now we're seeing that people are just eating edibles all the time, and they're not drinking as much. Right? They're not
just segmenting the markets. The people who stopped eating, the people started eating more. It's leveled out. All's fine.
But I always thought, like, me,
Fruity Pebble sales have not suffered yet. We're good.
Yeah, but wouldn't you get the munchies from like smoking, right? But is edibles? I don't think you get the munchies.
Those people have made up for the Ozempic people. Don't worry.
Is that what it is? So we need a lot more edibles out there to balance the Ozempic factor.
All right, go ahead, Jimmy.
Now I was only going to say. I was going to pull a page out of, I think, Love Actually. Kids, don't buy drugs. Work in the hospitality industry with Schatzy, and you'll give them for free. There you go.
Hey, Jimmy, that was a long time ago. That was when I was 16. I'm far more mature than that now, as you can see.
Yeah, but Schatzy, you missed the boat, man. Like you should have just stayed in the cannabis side of life, and you'd be a billionaire right now.
Oh my God, you're so right.
All right,
you're so right.
Let's see what happens next. Okay, so Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about? I mean, Jimmy, thank you. Both of you started in the restaurant industry. Schatzy sort of stayed in the restaurant industry at a higher level. Jimmy went off and became some finance guru,
banker.
big bank in Europe kind of guy. And guess
You
what?
remember it.
Just like the restaurant world always does, is it grabs your ass and drags you back in. I tried to leave and went to Procter & Gamble for 5 years, and it had nothing to do with food, so to speak. And then here we are back in the restaurant industry. So, gents, take a turn. Give us a quick, short bio, professional life. Let the world know who you are and what you're all about, so that when we start having real conversation about real topics, if that ever happens, you'll have some credibility.
So let me give a shot. I talk about my youthful entree into the industry, and then I left it. And specifically, I graduated college and I joined an investment banking firm. I did that for 2 years. Went to graduate school here in New York City and returned to bartending because it was a great gig job. Again, stepping in and the income and it's a good time. But I left the industry, and when I had a few nickels to my name, I made an investment.
It's always with the nickels. You're always with the nickels.
It depends on the audience. Sometimes it's
He's
nickels,
a money
sometimes
guy.
it's shekels.
Everything's counted in nickels and pennies.
Nickels and shekels. Depends
Not
on
a
the
few
audience.
bucks? How about a few bucks?
I made a few nickels. Anyway,
who has nickels now? Nobody even has a nickel. The last time you saw a nickel.
I got a lot of nickels.
Get the hell out of here.
Anyway,
nickels.
I when I had a few dollars, I had a few bucks.
Yeah, that's better.
I made my first investment with an emerging restaurateur named Michael Schatzberg, who's sitting across the table. I did not at that point feel like I was going to be back in the business. I was going to be on the floor, but I did want to be part of it. So I did it from a financial perspective, and I've had the privilege of being an investor with Schatzy and our other partner, Dean, and some longstanding partners, more as again, I'd say passive. Schatzy and the partners would make fun of me, as they always do, about eating and drinking.
Never to your face, Jimmy.
For free. It's not free. It's like riding a bus. You pay and then you eat and drink, or you bus, you pay and then you ride. And then about 6 years ago, Schatzy was talking about the friction between technologists and operators. And at that point, I was running my own investment firm. I'd stayed in finance, but by all means, he kind of struck a chord with me that there was this asset class, which I did really love. And I felt maybe there's an opportunity for me to be part of it full time from the finance and from the investment perspective. And we launched this company, Brand Hospitality Group, where one of the functions is investing in emerging tech and emerging brands. So I feel like I've taken my love of finance, my love of hospitality, and merged them together. And here we are, Brand Hospitality. There you go.
Oh, jeez, I thought he'd never stopped. I mean, Troy, have you ever heard such a long
It was
intro?
a great, I think it was pretty concise. It's coming from you, Schatzy. That's rich. Okay. So
Schatzy, Jimmy will go on and on and on. If you ask him more, he'll keep going.
What's your side of this branded hospitality story?
Troy, thank you for asking. I thought it'd never get to me. Thank you. Well, as I said, I was started. What am I? I'm like Troy's going to sleep already. I mean, honestly, I didn't even get started.
He knows his audience.
No, I will say that, as you know, I started in the bagel business. And then I did leave. I went and started work. I went to work for my dad in the fashion business. So I was in the clothing business for a while. It was a family-run business. My uncle, my dad, my grandfather, and we made women schmatas.
By the way, Schatzy, the way you're dressed today,
Jimmy, I'm glad
you are a fashion-forward person. I know that.
I smell a sense of style.
Schatzy's very consistent, Jimmy. Very consistent.
I don't know. There's
black or white T-shirt, gray or black.
I'm not the savviest guy in town, but I sense I'm being made fun of.
No,
I sense.
I think you and Zuckerberg, you and Zuck shop at the same.
The only difference between me and Zuck is like 12 zeros next to my name.
You and Zuck have
maybe even more than 12.
Have the same fashion, have the same designer. Go ahead, continue, Schatzy. I apologize.
So where was I? Let me see. Yes. So I was in the clothing business, making women's dresses, and I enjoyed that a lot. My dad ended up selling the company, so I really was looking for something to do. And as Jimmy mentioned, our third partner Dean had a restaurant, or he's in the real estate business, but he had a restaurant already that he was kind of running with another partner of ours. At the time, it wasn't a partner. It was called Duke's. It was a roadhouse right here on 19th Street. And I said, "Hey, can I bartend there?" And Dean's like, "Jets, you never bartend." I'm like, "Come on, you can bartend. How hard is it to bartend? What do you got to do? Crack open a couple of beers, you make a couple of drinks, right? How hard can that be, right? Well, I started bartending, and Jimmy will attest to this. I thought I was an excellent bartender. Because let me tell you why I was an excellent
Because you're
bartender.
half
Guests
lit or
loved
half
them.
the time.
Guests loved them, Troy.
Jimmy,
Guests loved you.
did they come back?
They came back.
They came back
They
in
loved you.
droves. Do
They
you know
came
why they came back, Troy?
I do.
Well, let me tell you. We had at the time, it wasn't Micros. I'll tell you the point of sale. It was called Sable. I don't even know if it's in business anymore. It was Sable. And it was, and it was just, it was kind of complicated. You know, it was touchscreen, but it was very, very remedial. What would the word be? Like,
It was a pain in the ass. Got
it
it.
was not sophisticated. And like when someone would order drinks and then he had the money and there was no credit cards back. It was all cash, you know, and you had to think in your head, you're like 2 of these and 3. I'll get you the next time. You know how much? I'll get you the next time. And I really ended up very rarely charging anybody for anything because it was
incredibly popular. He was making a lot of drinks. He was making a lot of people happy. He wasn't ringing the register, literally not putting money in the register. So Dean was like, we've got to promote this guy to manager because we're going to lose our shirt if we put him in a cash taking, in the payment side. That was not his strong suit.
But I did enjoy it. I loved it. I really enjoyed the connectivity. I enjoyed the whole hospitality, the music, the lights.
Giving away drinks and chatting people up. I mean,
and it's showtime. It was showtime, and you were part. It was great. It was honestly, so that was really, and I fell in love with it and I stayed in it. And here we are years and years later, but really it is really, I think, in my opinion, it really is like show business in a lot of ways. It's just really, you're just making people happy and smiling and having a great time. I love it.
Well, I'm coming to your party in a week from now.
Yeah,
so
well, you see the way we roll, Troy. I mean, we throw parties. We throw parties like we're hospitality people. I just want to make sure everyone's having a great time and connecting and, Jimmy make a great speech, and, get him a couple Macallan 12s or whatever he's drinking.
Just make sure that it's always rum and Pepsi over there. That's not the original, but we'll take the new age drink.
100%.
All right. So real quick, somebody tell me about branded hospitality in detail. Like just a little bit about like what is the thesis? What are you investing in? And what are those sort of wraparound support services or insights that you're bringing to accelerate these investments that you're making?
That's a really great question, Troy. And I'm glad you asked me. And what I'd like to say is I'd like Jimmy to take a stab at that question because I think only he can really articulate the nuances, if you will, and the depth and breadth of branded hospitality and its business. So, Jimmy, if you would, indulge.
I will indulge.
Thank you.
And thank you for setting the bar so incredibly high. Although I think
in 30 seconds or less, by 30 seconds or less.
Look, I am having a lot of fun. We are having a lot of fun with branded because it is an amazing industry. But branded is an investment platform. It is a solutions platform. It's just really a word I prefer to advisory or consulting, and then we have a media platform. And the three of them, while they certainly can work and at times work independently, it is the kind of flywheel we've created. Our overarching thesis is that what we're doing for the industry has to be good for operators and good for brands, and that's where we start. And with that perspective, we invest capital. We've done that over 50 times, whether it's emerging tech, emerging innovation, which means it's a piece of hardware, or emerging brands. And then we provide services that hopefully accelerate their growth and basically take them to market faster and help them grow and scale faster than they would have without us. And the media side, which I admit, man makes plans, God laughs. I didn't think we'd have a media business, but we did start a podcast and a newsletter, and we started throwing events. And then we realized that it was wonderfully correlated or connected to our community. At the end of the day, Branded believes in the community that we're building. It has wonderful people like yourself and some of our good friends, Mr. Jeff Alexander and Josh Halpern and Greg Majewski and Andre Vayner and so many more. But the operators, and then we know tech plays a role. You're a user of Ovation. We're an investor in Ovation. That's good fun. But the idea is that there's a community. It starts with the operators, and we want to be able to help them succeed. Because at the end of the day, if the operators win, then the people that sell sodas and sell food and whatnot and tech will all win if we can help the operators win. So that was much longer than you wanted. It's shorter than Schatzy accepted or expected. But we invest, we advise, and we have a media platform that helps boost and boast on the good people in our community.
Yeah. No, Jimmy, I think you did a hell of a job.
Yeah, good job, Jimmy.
Well, thank you.
So that is context for let's have a little conversation about the state of the state of the union, so to speak, in the restaurant industry, tech, etc. I'm going to just throw an open question because the fun ones we have written down here are good for the end to wrap it up. But let's talk about what's going on. What are you seeing? What's interesting? Whether it's restaurant tech, restaurant brands, growth, consolidation, etc. What do you guys see, since you're so deep every day investigating in not only your existing investments and figuring out what's going on with them, but what's on the horizon? So what's exciting and interesting?
Would you like to jump on in?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there, Troy. There's so many facets of the industry that are evolving and changing on tech and the consolidation, the business side, and the eating habits of people, the younger generation, how they dine and communicate, and their taste buds, and so it really, there's so much. We could probably spend days, not minutes, days, maybe even years speaking about this, Troy.
Great one, Schatzy.
But I will say that what I find really interesting, and and we'll talk about a few different areas, but I think that what's really interesting to me, that I'm seeing this real incredible evolution of, I like to talk about the taste of the Gen Z, the younger generation, and especially like with Pepper Lunch. I mean, it's a Japanese brand, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's just incredible to me that Jimmy and we're much older than you, Troy. So, you're a young guy. We're much older than you. So when Jimmy and I grew up back in the mid 60s and the early 70s, it was basically, you had pizza, you had your meatball sandwich, maybe you had a chicken parm, you had Chinese food. And really, you had some Jewish food at the Jewish holidays at Passover at your grandma's house, but there was no. That was pretty much it. That was your mom made you grilled cheese sandwiches. You got pizza when they went out. Maybe you got Chinese food on Sundays, and that was pretty much it. That was the extent. It was peanut butter and jelly, grilled cheese sandwiches, and what I just told you. That was pretty much it. Fast forward today, my kids, they're eating Thai. They're eating Japanese, they're eating sushi, they're eating Indian, they're eating Vietnamese. They're on to hot sauces, hot food, spicy, it's challenges. It's just changed so much. So I think the opportunity in the restaurant space and the food space it's really just unbelievably exciting right now, because there's so many opportunities for crossing between countries and tasting profiles and just things that you never thought you'd be seeing in this country, people loving and eating, they are. So I just think it's just super exciting to see all these different flavors and all these different brands and all these different types of foods and everyone's loving it. So I think the opportunity is bigger, better than ever in the food service and hospitality space. Like, bigger and better than I've ever seen it before, I think the opportunity is. So that's kind of the area that I think is just, I was picking one area because, like I said, we can talk technology.
It's a huge one for
consolidation, but I just find it really exciting, especially when I talk to my kids about just the different foods that everyone's eating. And I never would have even dreamed about thinking, like, I'm going out to LA in 2 weeks and we got a great Thai place. I'm like, Thai? It's like, I would only eat Italian food. It's just amazing to me that there's so much opportunity now for different foods that I never dreamed about when I was younger.
Yeah, well, the point you hit on with the Gen Z and soon Gen Alpha, because look, I got a 4.5-year-old. He's getting pretty close to dictating what it is we eat here, as far as eating out.
Sure.
He told me this morning I was going to pick him up from school. We were going to get daddy son haircuts, and we were going to Lazy Dog for dinner. Like, he told me where we were going for dinner at 7:30 this morning. So,
sure,
it's not far behind. And your point, actually, the business side of that point is really important for brands and operators and executives to hear is are you building for the customer of today, or do you have any idea what the customer of next week, literally, right now coming in front of you is, which is Gen Z and soon to be Gen Alpha, and combined, they're going to outweigh the buying power, not only the population but by multiple folds the buying power of everybody else on the planet by age group, right? These young people are going to be wealthier, and their habit naturally already is to eat out. They're not, high rises are going to be built in America like they are in Asia with no kitchens or like a hot plate. I mean, that's New York normal.
I think that to me is one of the what I see is one of the biggest changes and makes it somewhat, I think, a really exciting time to be in this industry. I don't know you gentlemen, but when I grew up, my mom,
me, Jimmy.
Well, what I meant is my mom. We had dinner 5-6 nights together as a family.
Yeah,
I would say easily 5 nights a week.
It was one or two
dinner,
nights out, maybe.
Whatever mom was making, but that's what's for
of course.
dinner.
And she knew what you liked, and usually made what you liked.
And that was for dinner. And my parents, they went out one night, and as Schatzy said, maybe there was pizza, maybe there was mac and cheese and fish sticks or something, or we go to down the street there was McDonald's, and we'd go watch cartoons upstairs.
Now, Jimmy, you didn't have the TV dinner, the Schwann's.
A little bit, but not so much. But the home game was so dominant. And I remember talking to the good people at AWS, the Amazon crew, and they were making their kind of 100-year prediction. And I'm not saying it was 100 years, but they said they thought the kitchen would go by the way of the sewing room. And if you remember, every home in America had a space where you could make clothes. That obviously does not exist anymore. And fashion now is something that, clothing, even for utility. You go purchase clothing or have it delivered now. And it was amazing to hear the AWS talking about how you'd only have a kitchen for reheating purposes or refrigeration for leftovers or whatnot, or if you're really into cooking. And I think about my own family today. So growing up 5 nights a week, home cooked, and I'd say now 5 nights a week ordering in.
Yeah.
And to Schatzy's point, the diversity of the menu items. We're heavily involved in tech, but I always want to make it clear, we're not a technology industry. We're a people business. We're a food and beverage business, and we can be tech enabled and we can be tech supported. And I think maybe over the last few years, particularly with the pandemic, I think there was a little bit of kind of tech, explosion and I dare say saturation.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of reining it back in, to your point, Troy, about what's really going on. And I think what's really going on is operators are reminding all the technologists and all the investors, we're a people business. We got to take care of our guests, and the food matters. One of the funny things to me about the whole ghost kitchen craze was hearing that speed was more important than the quality of the food. And
remember that?
We were like, doesn't matter how it tastes as long as it gets there fast. So I'm like, well, that might work once, but I'm not sure someone's going to reorder if they don't really enjoy it. But I think the pendulum's kind of shifted back to we're a people business, take care of our guests, we're food and beverage, and the tech can be wonderfully supportive of the operation.
We just had the chief marketing officer of Chili's. On the hangout last week, and we were talking about tech. And they, again, there was some, like, everyone's you got to try things you don't know. And they were trying some robots, and they were trying some
servers,
servers. Right. And they said they tried it because, a lot of people were talking it up, bring down labor, yada, yada. And, you sit at a table and a robot comes over and you got to grab the dish it lost all human touch, all human connectivity, all hospitality was thrown out the window. So they bailed on it. They bailed on that. And not to say that there's not room for automation and technology in restaurants. There are. I just don't know if it should be so consumer facing. And we saw another big brand that was all in on lockers. Yeah. That you order the food and you just go grab it out of a locker. You order the food, you just go grab it out of a locker. And they were all in on it, and they got rid of it. They just felt like, the how you doing, hello, thank you very much. There was none of that. So they wanted to bring the thank you very much, thank you, come again back. So I think I think your question that you started off, what's hospitality? Well, that's not hospitality.
Well, I think there's an intersection. I think you're right. There's a place and a way, and it's not what you do, but how you do it. Yeah. Little commercial break here to interject Pepper Lunch's theory on this, which was born here at the U.S. side of the business. Is we do kiosks in Asia recently. We just installed them in the last year, and sales are okay. The lift isn't 30% like some people want to promise you, right? Mm-hmm. In the U.S., we decided to eliminate the cashier. They eliminated the cashier and put a kiosk out there, and that's it. We took the cashier and made them what we call a hospitality host, a greeter.
Guest ambassadors.
It's a greeter plus. It's more than a greeter. Yeah. And the point being is, being across a counter is very transactional, there's a barrier there, right? I'm here, you're there. Standing next to somebody with a 22-inch screen in front of them and saying, hey, have you ever been here before? Oh, yeah. What do you normally get if you have? Oh, wow. I would love that if I added the garlic chips and the onions and the mushrooms. Doesn't that sound good? Or, oh, you've never been here before? Let me just explain to you real quick. Let me show you on this screen. We have 8 categories of food to choose from, and the categories are mostly separated by sauce flavors. Can I show you a couple? Great, done, and walk away. But it's we installed kiosks, but we put a human there, and we didn't just take the cashier and put him there. We put somebody who wanted to interact with humans all day long. That's their job. Smile, greet, break the line, segregate the customer, understand what they're looking for, and help them get through that experience as quickly and efficiently as possible. We've seen a $5 plus increase on basket size already, and we're only 2.5 months in.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. I think I love that story. And I remember we got involved with a kiosk company. We got behind Byte. There are a number of very good ones, but that's who we got behind, and we're thrilled with it. But I remember people challenging, even QSR and limited service operators would say, we'll never, and I love they say they never, the testing the laws of never say never, we'll never get rid of our cashier. We're not going to give up on that hospitality. As though the kiosk was going to remove the hospitality. What you just described, in my opinion, elevated the hospitality.
I agree.
Rather than that barrier.
It got better.
Okay.
It definitely got better.
It got better because I think about, airlines and rental cars and basically there is a kiosk to do the transaction, but there's now someone greeting you. And at the restaurant, I bet that person, first of all, you call them, what'd you call them again?
Hospitality host.
Yeah. We think of them as guest ambassadors.
Troy, did you coin that phrase? Is that something you made up at Pepper Lunch, or did someone else?
Sean Walchef in 2020.
Sean coined that. So did you pay him some sort of royalty for using that name?
No. Now he gets free Pepper Lunch.
You gave him a shout out on Troy's podcast. But my point just was using the kiosk plus that hospitality host has elevated that hospitality experience for the guest. And that to me is when tech and humans and a visionary operator figured out this is going to make us better. And what a better job it is for the person who gets to be the greeter and the host.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Hi, welcome. What do you want? Versus, hey, welcome to Pepper Lunch. Let me tell you, I'm so excited, right? It's just a different presentation. And the reality is born out of frustration that the person at the cashier was transactional in their nature. They weren't that person. So we had to find that person, reallocate that cashier to do another job because talking to people wasn't their preference. Find the people that want to talk to people and really passionate about the brand and helping people explore a new thing they've never had before or whatever. So yeah, I agree. And that's just an example. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just said, we have a problem.
Stop it, Troy. Listen to me.
Our brand has a lot of upsell opportunity. We have add-ons and sides and sauces, and we have a lot of opportunity, and it wasn't being taken advantage of.
I think you're better than everybody.
Yeah, and
how about that?
And one of the great things about your brand is it really, I think about the hospitality as, food is fuel. Okay, respect, that exists. And then there's experiential. And Pepper Lunch is this amazing experience because you're involved in the kind of in the prep of your meal.
DIY cooking. You're doing it yourself.
And you're in there and people have different styles. I've seen you demo. Let's call you the elite player. I'm sure how one does it. But I could imagine someone saying, yeah, but I do it this way. And they have their style. And to me, that little experience and that engagement involvement makes it just that, a lot more special. And it turns a meal into an experience. And
you know what, Jimmy? That's why Pepper Lunch is crushing it. How many stores Pepper Lunch got now?
538. We've added
500. You know when Troy started it, they had 2 stores? 2 stores.
No, that's not true. More than that, but
Troy had 389, by the way, but I had nothing to do with any of that. So don't worry.
Stop it, Troy. Stop it. First, he came up with this whole ambassador thing with this special thing there.
Host.
Yeah, the hospitality host idea. You were the guy who brought the kiosks, and they didn't have kiosks over there. I mean, really. I mean, now you're doing some great packaging.
Have you also seen Troy do the when he shows people how to do it?
The mix.
The mix. Yeah. And then you mix and you spread and you mix and you pull and you mix. It's art. It's an art.
But I would say, Troy, seriously, with your concept, I think the hospitality host is really important because it is a new concept. It is something different. It's not just ordering a burger and a fries and a soda. There is a lot to it. So you really do have to educate a little bit the customer, and you probably are because you're new in America. There is a lot more sales to it, so I think it's a great move, and you're seeing a a great rewards from it. So I think it's
Your
a
early
great
days, but it's
idea.
looking good. So you know, you're going to RLC next week. There's going to be C-suite members for all kinds of brands there. Somebody's going to pull you aside and say,
Big
guys,
Makas, we like to say, Troy. Big
okay,
Makas.
okay. Somebody's going to pull you aside and say, guys, you're out there, you're seeing all the newest tech, all the founders, all the exciting emerging things. You've got all these companies in your portfolio you're close to. What should I be thinking about? I'm a brand of any size, big, medium, small. What do I need to be thinking about right now to get that edge, get ahead, be ready for the next thing in tech in my restaurant business? What's the hot thing right now that matters and makes sense? Not just a trend, but something that really you need to be talking to people about and get them excited about.
You want to take it, Schatzy?
Yeah, I think, Troy, and it's a great question. And I think, hospitality operators really, I don't believe that the majority of restaurant owners and operators in the country and the world should be thinking about what the next great thing is. I think we should be much more concerned about today and now. So I think making sure that I don't think it's something new it should be, your online ordering, your customer engagement, your loyalty, your rewarding your repeat customers, like those kind of basic things. Like you just said, kiosks, like, do you have a kiosk program for your store? Is that right for you? If you don't, you should be thinking about starting to bring that. And just like you just said, do you have the customer engagement? Are you using an ovation to make sure you're communicating with your customers and getting the feedback? So I don't think you should be thinking about what the coolest new trend is. I remember a couple years back, everyone was talking about the NFTs and the what was it? The
Blockchain.
virtual
Ghost Kitchens.
Oh yeah,
not the ghost kitchens. The
no.
You remember where you went into a virtual space and you were in a virtual world.
Web3?
Yeah, Web3. And everyone go nuts about Web3, and you got to have, and everyone's like, oh my God. And I went, what the hell are you talking about? Like it's so I think that you really just fine tune your flows right now and your systems right now, and making sure that, just the basics are that everything is keyed up in the basics. There's so much great technology out there. Reassess the tech that you have. Is everybody using it? Is everyone liking what you have? There's so many bells and whistles and features on some of the tech. Maybe you're not even using half of what you're paying for. So I don't think it's necessarily, I need to find out what the next. There are people out there there are some restaurant groups out there that are constantly, pushing the boundaries, and that's great because that helps us all. But I think for the majority, really the majority, it's some of those things that I just talked about. I think.
Can I contribute a little to that?
I would love you to, Jimmy. You always make it better. You make everything better.
I think your answer was fantastic.
No, but not as good as yours.
No, it won't be. No, it wasn't too nice. I think the theme I would go with, Troy, in this environment, because it's incredibly competitive. We're a wonderful industry. We're a very friendly industry. We're also somewhat of a zero-sum game industry. Every time an emerging brand sells a meal, it's not like we created a new meal. It's not like we created the new. Yeah. It's a meal that they
created a new meal, but there's not a new customer necessarily.
Right. The person who ate a pepper lunch that day chose to eat a pepper lunch and not eat it, whatever it was. Yep. So it's also incredibly competitive. To me, we're in a unique environment where the guest engagement and the personalization, to me, is on a huge upswing, and it needs to be, because that is how guests are making decisions. We now have the tools to engage with guests and have brands do so in a way that is resonating and allowing the operator to win the loyalty and a greater share of wallet from that guest. And whether it's a feedback company like an Ovation, whether it's a guest relationship management platform like a Fishbowl, whether it's a loyalty platform like a Spengo, and on and on. Yep. But the use of the kiosk is guest engagement. The use of the digital menu board and the digital screen like Vistify, that's an engagement. So this to me, it's not cutting edge. It's not out there with NFTs and Web3. It is actually blocking and tackling that there is now tech that can allow an operator to do what they really want to do, which is engage with their guest and do it on a more personal level.
That's right. And then I was going to just add to that 100%. And then at the end of the day, you want really good food, executed really good, really delicious, So I don't think that, that everyone's AI. And boy, AI, everyone throws AI around. I mean, honestly, I like to say to people, yeah, I was using AI a long time ago. It was called Lotus 123. It was adding up spreadsheets, right? That was AI, right? You remember Lotus 123? Troy, you don't know Lotus 123.
No,
You're
you're a
too
little
young.
older than me.
Jimmy knows Lotus 123.
You're not as much older as you think you are of
But
me,
Troy,
but
you
you're
look
old enough.
fantastic, and the vitamin
Yeah,
B.
I don't know what the hell it is. Troy, are you getting Botox? You can tell us.
No,
Because I
no.
got to tell you, you don't have not a wrinkle in the face. Really
Lights.
gorgeous.
Just good lights. Just
Well,
gotta
I
have
don't
good
know
lighting.
what it is, but I got to tell you, Troy, if it's vitamin D, whatever you're doing, Troy, how long have you been eating pepper lunch?
How long have I been eating pepper lunch?
Yeah, like how many years
Since
have you been eating
October of
pepper lunch?
2022.
So like 3 years of pepper lunch?
Yeah.
Almost. This
And
October.
how much weight have you
years.
lost?
I've gained a couple pounds.
No, but you look a lot healthier since
Thank
I
you.
think post pepper lunch, you look better than pre pepper lunch. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think there's something out there in this pepper lunch that makes you look good.
Here you go.
It's called passion and excitement, fervor
Yes.
and energy, man. It's just the blood's running through the face.
I know. All I know is you're a good-looking
All
guy,
right,
and I can only aspire.
Let's figure a way to land the plane without crashing it. All
Yes.
right. What's new and exciting, interesting? What do you want to talk about with Branded? What do we need to know about Branded before we all show up at RLC?
Well, that's a good question there. I got to tell you. I mean, we got some
The
exciting
infomercial.
initiatives.
This is the final pitch. This is the closing argument.
Well, I just want to.
Branded. How can we work with you? Where can we learn from you?
Well, I'm going to let Jimmy take that, but I just want to. I don't know when this is going to air, so we may have missed it. But I got to tell you, we have the most exciting activation that we have partnered with our friends at Informa Connect, which put on RLC. This activation that we have partnered with RLC and our very good friends at Food Buy, Denova, and Q Point of Sale, all excellent leaders in the hospitality and food service space. We have put together for the first time the Influencer Row, much like what they do at the Super Bowl. And we have brought some of the most incredible influencers, podcasters in the biz to RLC to interview and highlight some of the greatest trends, interview some of the best CEOs, CMOs, CTOs, get interviews, get insights, get stories. And I think this is an incredible opportunity to really bring RLC, the Restaurant Leadership Conference, which is without a doubt probably one of the strongest events of the year for our industry. It'll give a chance for everyone in the world to really get a taste of what it's like to be at RLC, because it's about 1,000 operators, like true leaders, not forget the sell side. It's about 1,000 C-level folks will be there. And through this Influencer Row, everyone's going to get an opportunity to see what goes on over there. So we couldn't be more excited about that. That is what Branded is really doing. But I'll let Jimmy kind of talk about more of some of the things that we're doing on a bigger scale.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief, Troy, because I know we're going to land this efficiently and successfully. I think the biggest theme that I'm putting out there, and you're a part of that, as are so many of our friends, this community. And I think there's an acronym, and there's a company named FUBU, For Us, By Us. This is a community that I think could be doing more together. And this is not kumbaya stuff. Well, that's fine. But the fact is, our thesis was the operators should have a say in the tech that's coming their way, and they should be engaging. I also feel the operators shouldn't just be a customer of the tech. If they're going to influence and help the product market fit, I think they should be part of that. The data that exists in every store, in every unit across this country, is valuable, not because of this data from one store, but collectively. And when you start to aggregate it, it becomes meaningful. And there's some themes that Brandon's going out with that we feel this engaging operators, not just, and I know the job is so hard to win as an operator, but the goal of them operating and then being part of this community for the benefit of not just nice, to earn from, to benefit from the development of the tech, the contribution of the data and what they get back. And that's a theme when I'm going to RLC or when I go to any of these events. It's spending time with operators to leverage their expertise, but also understanding the value that their unit brings beyond just the economics of a single unit or a portfolio of units, and how to bring it together. So that's what I'm going to talk to operators about.
Awesome. Well, look, it's not
fantastic.
Yeah,
I would just like to add, if I may, Troy, just add a few more points. I think that not only will Jimmy be doing everything they just said, but on Monday night during RLC, Monday evening, we will be hosting a fantastic evening of networking with some of the most fantastic operators, including Troy Hooper from Pepper Lunch. We'll be there. With our friends from Adyen and DoorDash. We'll be hosting a phenomenal event, really networking again to bring everyone together for an evening of really understanding, just really getting to know each other and what are everyone's priorities and what are on people's minds, and really sharing best practices, insights, what's hot, what's not. And it's really just great because you know what? At the end of the day, I think, Jimmy, you said this. Look, all the restaurants, we're competitors, right? We're all competitors. But I got to tell you, this is one industry that it's the friendliest competition I've seen in a long time. Jimmy, you come out of banking. I have a lot of friends in real estate. They'll fucking kill you. They'll kill you. They'll say that they'll kill you. They will step on your head and kill you. In the restaurant business, if I were to call Troy and say, Troy, I really need help with something, you know what Troy's going to do? How can I help you? If Troy called me and said, Schatzy, you know what? I need it, but I'll help him any way I can. That doesn't happen in all industries. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. Look, this will air after RLC, but the point being that if you went to RLC and you went to the branded event, or you came to the Pepper Lunch pickleball party,
let's not talk about the pickleball. I mean, that's going to be a big event.
Please comment and share your stories and tell your colleagues in this industry that actually they need to reserve their hotel room and get on the list now for next year, because this thing is selling out every year. And it is the best gathering of the C-suite of the restaurant industry in the U.S., certainly, maybe even the globe. And but no, it's a great place to get together, and I appreciate that you guys
will you be
facilitating.
Doing your Pepper Lunch, bus, or that doesn't happen at this event?
We next year. So we have a store opening at ASU on campus. At ASU.
On campus.
Yeah, it'll be a community-facing store on campus, so open to the public and accessible by the main roads. But we'll do that next year, so it'll open this August, and we'll bus people over for giant.
Hey, Troy, when you do something like that, is that through like a managed food service, or are you doing it direct with the university?
Well, that's ours. Yeah, it's our franchisee. Yep, it's a standalone retail space in a brand new office building right on the corner of campus, right next to the big theater there.
I'll bet you that crushes it, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna.
And now let me ask you one last thing: who's gonna win the Pepper Lunch pickleball tournament? I mean, who do you think? Who has the odds of winning?
Well, our head of franchising, Paul Tran, is going to come in third because he's never placed higher than third in any tournament he's ever played in.
Okay,
so he'll come in third. That's most likely.
But who's the ringer in the pickleball?
The COO of Jersey Mike's, I think, came in third last year, and he's hot to trot to come in and do better this year. So I think that's one that you wouldn't think is going to be the case. He's like 6'6" and a large gentleman that can get his ass around that
range.
Is height an advantage in pickleball, or is it like low?
He has a big advantage. He can reach. He has reach. He has wingspan. He can. Yeah, you don't have to go very far.
But then my question to you is, as I think about pickleball and its proliferation across the globe, it has certainly made its way down to Boca, where there are many short Jewish people. Is it just because there's no challenge because they're all just short Jewish people playing, or is it and they don't have any?
The size of a tennis court. You can fit 2 pickleball courts on one tennis court. So you're running less.
Because I know what my sister lives down in Delray Beach, and now they've converted a lot of tennis courts to pickleball, and they've also now brought an orthopedic surgeon on site now. So they've the pro shop that used to sell all the tennis equipment has now turned into an orthopedic surgeon's office right next to the pickleball courts.
It's
now when you blow out your knee, there's an orthopedic surgeon right there. So I think with the proliferation of pickleball and Pepper Lunch's sponsoring of pickleball, I think orthopedic surgeons are really the next big thing.
I need to get one as a sponsor of.
I would think that you would have Pepper Lunch pickleball sponsored by Dr. Dumbrov, orthopedic surgeon of Phoenix. You know what I mean? That seems to be the natural fit.
Since this airs after, we can always come back and recap and compare our predictions and our theories.
Well, let me just ask you one thing. You told me who's going to come in third. You told me 4 people are going to come in third. Who's first?
I have no idea. It's going to be somebody we don't know. Andre Venner put a pretty good effort up last year, so we'll see if he doesn't come in here and try to crush it. So it's going to be competitive. It's sold out. So the tournament is sold out. The Pickleball for Dummies authors are coming to do a clinic with 60 newbies that want to learn. The rest of us are going to be drinking on the lawn and smacking balls on the back courts over there that nobody is watching. And we're just going to have a great music, great food, great people. It's going to be a good time.
I love it, man. This was
we'll
great.
Just make it an annual thing. But hey, guys, thanks for coming on. Always entertaining, always fun. Definitely some enlightenment and some good advice snuck in there somewhere. Glad to see you.
Thanks, Troy. You're the best.
We'll see you on the road. Appreciate what you and your team are doing for the industry. You're one of the really good guys in it. And we're very proud to be in your orbit, and thank you for having us on your show.
Thank you, Troy Hooper. Pepper Lunch.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to The Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.